Okay, we'll start in just a few minutes. Uh, Person who is watching right now. One person so far. Okay. Just a few minutes. All right. Just gotta wait for a couple people to show up. Got a lot of responses to this. This is a pleasant surprise. Probably should have started this a few minutes earlier. I had to continue to take the bike out because I'm just an idiot that way. Okay. Well, I guess we'll start. First off, same disclaimers as last time would still apply. My laptop is still spotty at best, so there may be technical glitches. Also, I'm still not feeling so well, so I got these on hand. So please just bear with me on that. Also, before I do anything, I apologize for doing this at the same time as the Arrow season finale, which I did not know aired at this time. I'm very, very sorry. In the future, I'll try to be more mindful of that. And for the record, at the behest of numerous people who have been telling me, "Oh, you got to check out Arrow," everyone keeps raving about this show and telling me I'd have to check it out. I give. Okay? Now that the season's over, I will try to check out Arrow and see what all the fuss is about at some time over the summer. Now that the season's over, I got time to dive into a new series now with everything it reruns. But we're here to talk about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season finale, which aired last night. And I've really been chomping at the bit to talk about this to somebody. And I didn't have anyone to talk about it with, unfortunately. I really need to get some friends that don't live on the other side of a computer screen. Anyhow, that's why I'm here. Consider this a trial run for that post-show reaction series that I was thinking about starting next season. I may be doing something like that. Or I've also been tossing around the idea of doing a podcast. So that could potentially happen as well, although I'd probably need a co-host for that. To be continued there. Get any volunteers for that, let me know. But anywho, we'll talk about the season finale. I got some notes here. I will go over what I thought were my main talking points and all the bullet points of the episode and stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like, and predictions and stuff like that, what everything could mean, what could be on the plate for next season, and then I'll take any questions if we got some. So, a lot to talk about here, but the upshot, well, the short version anyway, is that top to bottom, I thought this was the best episode of the season. It knocked off Turn for me. And overall, this was probably simultaneously the funniest, most dramatic, most emotional, most thrilling episode, not just of this series, but probably of any series I've seen this year. This season, rather. And that's just due to personal preference. Let's not do a compare and contrast type of thing. I'm not speaking ill of any other show. Game of Thrones, The Purple Wedding was amazing too. I haven't really watched that much other TV. But anyway, this for me was the best episode of television I've seen this year. And let's just talk about the criticisms first, because there were a few little gripes and nitpicks here, and let's just get this stuff out of the way first, because I really did love the hell out of this episode. Let's just address this first off and get out of the way. For starters, this episode was really jam-packed with stuff. So much so that I thought it really would have benefited from having maybe an extra half hour, or maybe even an extra hour. Maybe they could have stretched this to a two-parter. I don't know, but it was almost a little too crowded, and I think for the most part that didn't hurt that much, but I think it did affect one of the opening scenes just a little bit when the team has infiltrated the Hydra barbershop thing, and they're surrounded by the Deathlocks or whatever they were, and Kamansky with the Berserker staff. That was a great cliffhanger, and I wondered, well, how the hell are they going to get out of that? And it turns out they got out of it pretty easily. Apparently, Kamansky just was hired by Hydra under Project Bootstrap or something, because that guy just doesn't seem to know what the hell he's doing. May just takes the Berserker staff off him, just like that. It's like, what an idiot. And yeah, so their escape from that situation seemed to happen really fast. It's like, well, why even bother, you know? I don't know, but that was the only time during the episode where I just had to think, really? Felt like there should have been more to that. They got out of that pretty easily. And also, May threw the Berserker staff away when they left. Wouldn't you want to keep that? I mean, it's a pretty useful weapon. I mean, wouldn't you at least want to take it away from Hydra? I mean, she had no reason to throw it away. That was a little weird. And something you might call a criticism, Bill Paxton seemed like he was chewing just a little too much scenery at certain times. In this case, I do think it worked, because he's supposed to be out of his mind at this point and just like a raving madman, and not really in his right mind anymore. And plus, you could tell Bill Paxton was just eating this shit up. You know, he was just having the time of his life, obviously, with this material. And it's always fun to watch an actor perform stuff like that, even if the performance goes a little too far. I enjoyed it, even though he was like, he was going. I don't know how to say it, but maybe he was having a little too much fun. I don't know, but it was fun to watch him. Also, I've heard some people say this. The reason for why Coulson is so important, why Coulson was brought back from the dead, why Fury jumped through all these flaming hoops and spent what must have been a ridiculous amount of money and devoted all these resources to bringing Coulson back. I mean, they touched on this earlier when Coulson was taken by Hydra in the mid-season finale, and Victoria Hand says, "I've never seen this many resources allocated to finding a single agent. You know, why is one level 8 agent this important?" And I think some of us were expecting there to be more to it than what it was. But I think in this case it worked. Because it was so simple that Fury saved Coulson because because Coulson is one of the only people Fury trusts, really. And he didn't say it in so many words, but I think it's because Coulson was his friend, and Fury doesn't have many friends. And that felt appropriate to me. You know, I thought that seemed like kind of a nice humanizing thing for Fury to say. So I like that for what it meant to Fury. I was expecting a little bit more to the explanation than what we got, but I did like it for what it was. One thing, though. No explanation about the blue guy in the tube. Okay, I can live with them not addressing this, but you know what, Coulson, if you got Fury right there, ask him about the blue guy in the tube. I mean, to not even address that, to not even ask him about that, it seemed kind of a glaring omission. I mean, wouldn't he have a few questions? That made me kind of tilt my head a little bit, but ultimately, I was able to let that go because that really wasn't what the season arc was really about. I mean, all this stuff with the blue guy in the tube and and this talk of aliens, and this goes into the revelation about Skye's parents too. That was really setting up stuff for next season. I mean, the Hydra stuff was the really important stuff. That's what they want us to focus on here. So, not mentioning that did seem wrong, that they wouldn't even try to address it, but I understand why they did it. I agree that could have been a little more smooth, but again, they probably would have needed more time to cover all that stuff. I do expect a lot more information about that next season, especially with that episode-ending teaser. Okay. Anywho, funniest moments. These were some of the, sorry. These were some of the biggest laughs we had all season, in my opinion. I thought it was so funny, and actually there were some fun Whedon callbacks to other Whedon projects here. That the cybertech handlers, the people who were controlling all the Deathlock units, were just a bunch of office drones at a desk somewhere. It's like I had like flashbacks to Cabin in the Woods, where all these horrible things and like horror monsters and stuff were controlled by two lab rats in like an underground bunker somewhere. That seemed eerily familiar and just so funny at the same time. I'm really wondering what that incentive program is that they were talking about too. What was going on there? Also, the way Garrett was killed was fucking priceless. I can't even imagine how much money they must have spent on that sequence. All the special effects and CGI involved to show Garrett being transformed into this super Deathlock cyborg just so Coulson can atomize him with the 084 weapon. It was just like in Firefly, I think the second episode of Firefly, when the bad guy, whoever the hell he was, is making this like evil speech about how he's gonna do all this fucked up shit to Mal, and just when the dramatic music is swelling, Mal just is like, okay, he just kicks him into the engine turbine. It was just like that. That was such an awesome callback. I laughed so fucking hard. And also, Garrett's line, when's the last time anyone saw a tag team wrestling match with 4 dead guys? I'm sure there's some kind of precedent for that. The Undertaker may have been involved, I don't know. I just love that line. Also, okay, moving on. More bullet points here. Some really satisfying things happened here. The May Ward fight was very cathartic after everything Ward had done the last couple episodes. I think it's hilarious that they threw in, they added that throwaway line in the beginning that they were annexing the building and adding on a new wing, just so they could have all that construction equipment there, and May could shoot the nail gun into Ward's foot. At first I was like, well, why are they mentioning this? It's like, oh, that's why they did it. That was fantastic. And one of the biggest geek out moments for me all season, the gun that Fury gave to Coulson, I'm like 99% sure that was the gun that Coulson used in the Avengers to take out Loki. It was really easy to miss. But full-on nerdgasm when that happened. That was so fucking cool. Also, probably the most satisfying thing for me, and goes back to something I said in the previous live stream, how you can't just throw Marvel characters in there for no reason. And you can't just throw them in there because you want to. They got to have a purpose and a reason to be there, because when they show up, it's going to mean more. Now, in the second episode, when Fury shows up at the end and like an unannounced cameo just to chew Coulson out about the plane getting damaged, that didn't mean much. I thought it was a mistake to put him in there, honestly. But when Fury showed up in this episode, that meant something. That had me jumping out of my seat, because they brought him in at the perfect time, and they had a meaningful role for him. Excuse me, got it that time, and it wasn't wasted. And this meant something, and that was fantastic. Fantastic. Although, my favorite part of this episode, hands down, and I'm going to have to get a little candid with you guys for a second here, okay? These Fitzsimmons scenes damn near destroyed me. Okay, you don't understand, okay? That scene, when they're about to blow the window on the med pod so they can try swimming to the surface, and Fitz is basically getting ready to sacrifice himself so Simmons can have a chance to make it out alive. This goddamn scene made me cry. Okay? And you don't understand. I'm not an emotional person, first of all. I don't wear my heart on my sleeve or anything like that. I have cried at a TV show exactly one time in my entire life. One time. This was the second time. Okay, for the record, the first time was the Breaking Bad season finale of season 2, when Jesse OD'd after Jane died. And he's like, I killed her, I loved her more than anything, I killed her. That made me cry. This Fitzsimmons scene, that made me cry worse. Okay? This scene, Ian DeCastiger and Elizabeth Henstridge absolutely annihilated this scene. This was brutal to watch, in a good way. Just freaking heartbreaking, really. I mean, good God. I mean, in the span of like 3 scenes, it goes from dread, when they think they're going to die, depressing, as they're discussing what it's like to die, to uplifting, when they think they have a chance to escape, to just kind of ripping your heart out when Simmons realizes that, oh my God, Fitz, what the hell are you doing? What are you talking about? Don't do this. To hopeful when she's swimming to the surface, to fuck yeah, Nick fucking Fury, God damn it, you know. I've gone back and watched this scene several times since then. I still can't watch it without tearing up, God damn it. And I'm not ashamed to admit that either. You know, I said this in the earlier live stream, and I meant it. Ian DeCastiger and Elizabeth Henstridge are the two best actors on this show. These are the 2 most heartfelt characters. This right here, these 2, this is the heart of the show for me, and that's why I was so nervous about this, because without those 2 characters, for me, this show does not work. And I was so nervous about this because I knew something big was going to happen here. And in my mind, it would have made a lot of sense for Whedon. It would have been just like him to kill Fitz in this episode. Plus, I saw a spoiler image of the end with the 5 of them standing there with Coulson and May and Simmons and Skye and Trip, and Fitz wasn't there. I'm like, oh shit. Plus, Elizabeth Henstridge said in an interview that the scene that she and Ian auditioned with was a scene written for the finale that Joss Whedon wrote specifically for the audition. And I think Jeffrey Bell said that the scene involved, well, basically they're in a tight, confined space and they think they're going to die. And I knew, well, if Joss Whedon wrote that scene that far in advance, it's got to be really fucking pivotal. And so I was nervous. I was so goddamn happy when they made it out, although it does leave a lot of questions about Fitz. And I had a question about this. I'll get to that later, but they were really smart to not show Fitz for the rest of the episode after their escape, because goddamn, gonna be a lot of questions about that, and really a lot of people guessing. And there's so many different ways they could approach this. He could have memory loss, because if his brain was deprived of oxygen, there's gonna be some damage there, which they're definitely teasing. So he could have gaps in his memory. One way to go is that, if he's lost brain function, he might have lost some of his, I guess, his intellect. I mean, what if he's not he can't be the tech genius anymore? He can't be like super awesome tech genius science guy. So I wonder if some part of a big part of his arc for next season is to figure out that he find that he can still be valuable to the team, but in a different way. And that would make sense. I think Ian DeCastiger said, I think at Paley Fest, or might have been Comic-Con or something else, that the direction they were going in was Fitz transitioning into being more of a field operative. So that would make sense. If he can't be the science guy anymore, if he was trying to be useful in that way, that would make sense. Another theory that I was just tossing this one around. What if mentally he's okay, but he was somehow damaged emotionally? This is a little more out there. I don't think it would make a lot of medical sense. But I had this scenario in my head. I mean, what if he's mostly all there psychologically, but like the emotional connections to things have been severed, and he can't really make sense of any of all that stuff anymore? What if somehow he remembers sacrificing himself for Simmons, but he doesn't remember why? And because all that emotional stuff has been jumbled up and muddied or something. That seems a little out there, but I kind of like it just because I have this weird fascination with characters that start out light and comedic, but then turn really dark and intense. So I had this weird scenario in my head where Fitz kind of ends up like Dexter, where he's still intelligent, but he just can't really process emotions anymore, and he has to relearn all that stuff. So I mean, there's potential they could take Fitz to a dark place next season, but either way, I'm sure there will be a lot of angst, especially with Simmons, because they left a lot of stuff with her up in the air. He did finally admit his feelings to her, which I was very happy about, because I really didn't want that. I really didn't want them to save that for next season. But does she feel the same way? We don't know yet. I think she does. She seemed to accept him readily when he admitted this to her, but was that only because she thought he was going to die? We don't know yet. So I kind of think she does. Otherwise, she wouldn't have covered him with kisses and stuff. So I think she does, but we didn't really get an admission from her. I guess that'll come next season, hopefully. But either way, I think the roles are going to be reversed. I think there's going to be a role reversal between them next season, where Simmons will be the one who's kind of pining for Fitz, while his feelings are unsure, and he's the one who's really confused about everything, and he's not sure how he feels about anything anymore. And he's the one who's, well, she wasn't screwed up, but I think Fitz is going to be screwed up for a while. Okay. Now, things we should look out for, things we should look forward to, things I'm looking forward to next season. First of all, Billy Koenig. Okay, my brain damn near exploded on that one. Billy Koenig. So there's more than one Agent Koenig. What are we thinking here? Clones? Life model decoys? I'm thinking life model decoys. Wouldn't it just be completely nuts if there were these shield installations all over the place, and each one manned by a different Patton Oswalt? Hey, I'm not complaining. I think this is really fucking cool. That way we get more Patton Oswalt on the show next season. That's fantastic. Plus, I was waiting for somebody to use a life model decoy. I was wondering how they'd introduce that eventually. If that's what this is, kudos. Ian Quinn and his Gravitonium are still in play. I really like that he got away. Ian Quinn is a great villain. I really like that actor. He just plays the smarmy, stuck-up rich guy so well. Plus, call back to the Gravitonium, which means at some point we should be getting Graviton. I'm not sure how they could do that on a TV budget, but definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully we can see that next season at some point. Also, Deathlock. Honestly, I was predicting that Deathlock would die. I'm really glad they didn't, because there's a lot they can do with him. And J. August Richards is really, really great in this role. It's I almost wish Hydra still had control of him, because he was really fucking creepy earlier on. But I like where they left him off, because he's not with the team, but he's out there with he's an X Factor. You don't know what the hell he's going to do, but he's due to be back at some point. And that's good. Reyna. Wow. I did not expect Reyna to become so interesting when she first showed up. It's really strange how I thought she was all tied in with the Centipede stuff, and she was, but it seems like that was just mainly about introducing her character and setting her up for what was coming next. And it seems like she's tied into Sky's storyline in a really unexpected way. I don't think they're related, but it seems like they may share some genetic stock. Maybe they're from the same race. If we're assuming that Sky is an alien or a frost giant or something, I don't know. But that question, what will I become, really made me wish we'd seen the answer to that. Because it seems like Sky may be in for something similar. I expect that'll be a big part of Season 2 as well. Because there was all this talk about evolution. And, what could they be evolving into? I wonder if Inhumans might be a part of that. Because I was dismissing this at first, but I read a rumor the other day that suggested that Marvel may be gearing up the Inhumans to kind of be the mutants of the cinematic universe, since they don't have the rights to use the X-Men, because they sold the license to another studio, so they can't use mutants. Those are out. Except Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, that was a special case. So Inhumans might be a big plot point coming up. And, So I'm expecting Season 2 to delve into a lot of that. Probably get a lot more about Sky's history if we're thinking that thing that apparently is her father might be the big bad, or a big bad of Season 2. It's kind of strange, because he was definitely humanoid. He was human-ish looking, but he wasn't blue, I don't think. was covered in blood, so he's not, he doesn't look human, but he didn't look Kree either. If we're assuming that the blue man in the pot was a Kree. So I don't know what the hell that guy is. Well, I'm looking forward to finding out, though. And I do think it's interesting that Fury mentioned that part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Humanity should aliens from another universe show up. It's like, was that just a callback to Avengers, or were they foreshadowing something there? Wouldn't it be awesome if they were fighting aliens next season? I still want Abigail Brand to be introduced at some point, damn it. That would be a perfect way to do it. Also, something else to look forward to next season, more Joss Whedon involvement. He should be wrapped filming Avengers 2 by then. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of post-production stuff to do, but he should have more free time to be more involved in the show next season, and that can only be a good thing. Also, a lot of plot points and a lot of questions and a lot of new directions they can go in for season 2. Thing I'm most anxious to find out about, what happened to Fitz. I already went over that, but also what happened to Ward? Where does Ward go from here? Because Brett Dalton is not leaving the show. I think that's been confirmed. So they're gonna have to keep him around somehow. I suspect they're just gonna keep. They're going to want to keep him somewhere where they'll have access to him. I suspect he'll be taking up residence in the honeycomb prison room thing, and they'll just be keeping him in there and like drilling him for intel whenever the need arises. And they kind of left him in a fascinating place too, because they stressed in this episode that Ward has no real ties to Hydra. You know, he wasn't loyal to Hydra. He was loyal to Garrett. And they said that in one scene. He's like, "Well, hey, it's great that you're healed, John, and yeah, our alliance with Hydra has been beneficial. But do we really need all this stuff now? I mean, is this really necessary anymore?" So I thought it was funny that they made a point that they were careful to point that out. So he was working for Hydra technically, but it was really only because of Garrett. Now that he's free of Garrett's influence, where does he go? And they also played that card as well. Because if you think about it, Ward is a follower. You know, he was always looking to Garrett for orders, not really thinking for himself. And now they're going to ask the question, okay, who does he follow when he has no one left to follow? You know, who is he without the guy who made him what he is? That's going to put Ward in a really interesting place. Whereas it's like, well, is he going to start to think for himself? Will he try to redeem himself? Here's a question. Does Ward deserve to be redeemed? Does he deserve redemption? Because right now, I'm thinking he doesn't. The way I feel right now, I wouldn't accept a redemption at this point. If he hadn't pushed Fitz and Simmons out of that plane, then maybe. But I thought it was interesting that they were bringing it up, because they did plant the seed that the seeding in Ward's head that he's kind of questioning. Well, is he the unconscionable monster that everyone has pegged him as now, or is he only a monster because Garrett turned him into a monster? And they didn't raise that question of are people inherently evil or not for nothing. So I think that's going to be a big part. I think they are setting up a redemption arc for Ward. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think that's going to be slowly the direction that he heads in. And I do think it's funny, not funny, but it's interesting that Fitz was the only one who still wanted to give Ward a chance to make a choice to be a better person, and Fitz was the one who ended up kind of fucked up and injured and just really damaged by what Ward did. So I think if there's going to be a Ward redemption, I think it's going to tie into Fitz's recovery somehow. Um, Maybe there's information Ward has that could help Fitz get back to normal. I mean, maybe Hydra has technology that could fix his brain. Maybe AIM has technology that could fix Fitz's brain, because I do think ultimately Fitz will be back to normal, but it's going to be a journey to get there, because, you know, Coulson was dead for days, and they brought him back to life. Once you've done that, a little brain damage due to oxygen deprivation should be easy enough to circumvent. You know, this is the Marvel Universe. I mean, never really isn't in their vocabulary. So when you say Fitz may never be the same again, I don't really buy that. I think ultimately he will be okay. Eventually, it'll just take some doing to get there. I suspect a part of Ward's redemption arc, if they head in that direction, will be helping fix what Fitz has up here that's broken. And, oh, yeah. That final tease. We had all these hints all season. And then they dropped that bomb that May was there to watch Coulson for signs of mental deterioration. He never really exhibited any. And just when they're writing it, and just when they're kind of dismissing those concerns as unfounded, when everyone thinks Coulson is okay, he starts writing that alien language on the wall, the same one that Garrett was writing when everyone thought he was going nuts. Wow. So, I suspect we're going to get a lot of aliens next season. Be pretty interesting. Kree or Inhumans or something. Damn well better be a woman. Damn well better be a woman with green hair. Just saying, producers. But they got a lot of balls in the air now. They could go the aliens route. Of course, the Hydra thing's still going to be an issue. They had a big status quo shakeup. The whole landscape has changed. S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone, but Coulson has been tasked with rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D., which I suspect will be the mission statement for the remainder of the series. You've got the new character. Trip is on the team now, and I suspect he'll be a regular next season. That's fine. He started to grow on me in the last couple episodes. The status of Ward and Fitz are still completely unknown. We don't know how they're going to factor in. We know they're not leaving, but those characters are big question marks right now. So they got a lot of plates spinning right now. There's a lot of balls in the air. It makes for a really interesting landscape next season. So those are my thoughts. Well, I went on for quite a while on that, didn't I? Excuse me. But yeah, really dynamite episode. Capped off by that Fitzsimmons scene that just damn near ripped my guts out. Anyway, I have a bunch of questions from Twitter here, which I will get to now. And then if anyone has any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll get to that. Last, and then we can wrap this up. Sorry. Okay, again, a little dyslexic, so if I get these names wrong, forgive me. JRD4212 asks, who knew Nick Fury could say something so sweet? Hashtag aw. Yeah, I know, I like that too. That was a rare human moment from Nick Fury that we don't really get to see, and that's kind of why I bought the explanation of why he went to such pains to bring Coulson back when it really didn't make a lot of sense to devote that much effort to saving one agent, no matter who he was. I like to think it's just because Coulson was Fury's friend. I like to think it's that simple, really. Because that says a lot about Nick Fury. It says a lot about Coulson, too. Okay. Zach Harris, 88, asks, what do you think Fury meant by saying Fitz would be different? Well, he didn't use those exact words, but the guy drowned. I mean, they brought him back. They revived him, but his brain was without oxygen, so there's potential trauma there. There's potential brain damage. As I said earlier, there's a lot of different ways that could have affected him, psychologically, emotionally. He's not going to be the same. We know that. So there's going to be damage. He may have reduced brain function. There may be psychological trauma. We don't know. But one thing's for sure, he's not going to be the same character next season. He's going to be different, which kind of makes me worried about how that whole Fitzsimmons thing is going to play out. But it does put Fitz in a really fascinating position for next season that a lot of people probably didn't expect to see. Yes, RDB1610 asks, what do you think of the announcement that Marvel are joining Disney Games for Disney Infinity 2.0? I really have no opinion. Not much of a gamer, so I don't care, really. Sorry. Sorry I don't have a better answer for that. Okay. Yes, RDB1610 again asks, will Skye turn into a hero in Season 2? And I believe you also asked me if she was pegged to be the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Ms. Marvel. I'm going to say no to Ms. Marvel. I guess I understand the connection. If she does have some kind of Kree lineage, I can see why people might think that, but I don't think so. I do think that Skye has some kind of abilities that she's not aware of. Those may come into play at some point. I mean, if Raina is similar to her, and Raina's wondering, what will I become? I think, at the very least, we can expect Skye to go through some kind of transformation or some kind of metamorphosis. If she has any abilities, they'll probably manifest when that happens. I would expect we'll see we may see that happen next season, or that might be something that they're keeping in their pocket for a while. Of course, if Season 2 is expected to is going to focus more on Skye's backstory and her lineage and her parents and stuff, and I expect it will, I think we'll find out then. But do I think Skye is going to turn into a hero in Season 2? I think she's already a hero, dude. I think she's earned that moniker. She's some pretty heroic stuff this season. I know Chelsea Flowers 5 asks, I know this doesn't have much to do with the finale, but do you think we'll see more of Agent Hill next season? Yeah, I think that's the plan. I know the producers want to have her back. I wouldn't expect her to be a regular because Kobe Smulders, I believe, recently moved to New York, and I don't think she would. Yes, apparently that would probably require her to move back to LA, which I don't know if she wants to do. But I would expect her to be more of a presence next season. So maybe we could see her on at least a semi-regular basis. But yeah, I would expect her to be a prominent recurring character. Maybe not showing up every week, but at least as much as Deathlock was this season, if not more. I hope so too, because Maria Hill is pretty badass. That one. Yes, RDB1610. Will Sky turn into a Skrull in Season 2? My guess would be no. It would make sense, because with Skrulls being the shapeshifters, but I'm pretty sure Skrulls... I'm pretty sure we can rule those out. Because Skrulls would probably fall under the Fantastic Four license, which Marvel does not own. Because that's another one that they sold to another studio. So I think I remember reading something about that's why the Chitauri were used in the Avengers. Because like the Chitauri were like the Ultimate Universe version of the Skrulls, I think. So if that's true, then Marvel would not have the rights to use the Skrulls anymore. So I suppose it's possible, but I think Kree is the most likely. Because I don't think they would have name dropped the Kree for nothing. Plus, it's an easy tie-in to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I kind of doubt they would just throw that one away. Alright. Okay, last question I got from Twitter. Well, there might be more, but... Why do you stream during the Arrow finale? I already said this. I'm very sorry. I didn't know that Arrow airs at this time on this night. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry, okay? In the future, I'll try not to let that happen again. And as I stated before, at some point during the off-season, now that every show is in reruns, I am going to try to watch Arrow and find what all the fuss is about, okay? I'm gonna do my best. I can probably dive into another series now that everything is in reruns. And maybe I'll talk about that at some point, too. I have seen bits and pieces of Arrow. Wasn't really digging it based on what I saw. But, again, only seen little snippets of it. So I'll give it a chance. I'll watch it at some point over the summer. I don't know when yet. But I got a website where I can download everything, so I promise I will watch it at some point. And I will try not to schedule any live streams or anything like that when Arrow is airing in the future. Okay? And let's just see here. All right, Zach Harris 88. Should Ward be redeemed eventually, or should he be an enemy from here on out? I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I like that I don't know. Because he could really go either way, which is the mark of good writing, actually. He seems pretty far gone, but they definitely have teased a possibility that he could redeem himself. It's going to take an awful lot. Will he ever be completely forgiven? I don't think so. But he could make the effort. He could at least try to be a better person. And I think some of that is going to be tied into Fitz's recovery. I think that would be a good place for him to start. He could somehow help Fitz get back to what he was before and fix what's broken up here in Fitz's head. I don't know how, but it's Marvel. There are ways. They have ways to fix that. If Ward could have some kind of part in that, I think that would be a good way for him to begin his redemption. But as I said, they could go either way with Ward right now. But him being free of Garrett's influence can only be a good thing. Because Garrett rather, definitely seemed to encourage Ward's darker nature. And yeah, Ward seemed to be on a bad path already, but he didn't join Hydra by himself. So Without Garrett, who knows? Give Ward some positive reinforcement, who knows what could happen? Hist_enthusiast. Just watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. finale. Wow, does Bill Paxton know how to do crazy? Yes. Yes, he does. Something I spoke of earlier. I was debating whether or not he was a little too crazed, and ultimately decided that he was just crazed enough, where he might have been going too far, but it was really fun to watch him. So he was going overboard with it, but not so far overboard that it was like too much. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, now we'll just get to the questions in the comments here, and then we'll think about wrapping this up. The Save Me one. Do you think Skye and Reyna are sisters with alien DNA? Sisters, I don't think so. If we're assuming that the bloody humanoid-ish person in the Stinger, one of the Stingers anyway, was Skye's actual father. Well, Reyna did say that I found your daughter. So if are they sisters? I don't think so. I think they do. They probably are cut from the same cloth. I think they have some kind of similar lineage. They're tied together somehow. We know that. I think they may be descended from the same race if we're talking aliens here. So they may have some similar genetics. And I do think Reyna will play a big part in unraveling the mystery that is Skye. But sisters, I don't think so. Costaletis. Will we see a Guardians of the Galaxy tie-in and/or Avengers Age of Ultron tie-in in Season 2? I would be shocked if there wasn't some kind of tie-in. I know... Hold on. I know Guardians of the Galaxy comes out in August. I'm pretty sure, anyway. Or is it late July? All right, let me look this up. I think it would depend if Guardians comes out before or after Season 2 begins. And... yeah. Okay, Guardians comes out August 1st, and I believe Season 2 starts in September. That's probably a good thing. So if they have any like big secret reveals or anything that would be dependent on the movie, like they did, like what happened with Winter Soldier, they won't have to wait for the movie to come out. They can just do it at their own pace. And I think that was was probably, well, undoubtedly the biggest issue that affected Season 1, that they had all this awesome stuff, but they couldn't do it until Winter Soldier came out. So a lot of it was just biding time, it's a damn shame that they couldn't have done a lot of that stuff sooner than they did. But I suspect there will be some kind of tie-ins with Guardians, because we know there's Kree in Guardians, and if the blue guy in the tube was a Kree, there's got to be some kind of tie-in. I expect it'll tie into Skye's storyline in some way, shape, or form. Avengers Age of Ultron, I don't know. I'm not sure how. We don't really know anything about Avengers, although with Joss Whedon at the helm, and Joss kind of overseeing all the Marvel projects, including the TV show, I would be stunned if there wasn't. There's got to be something, even if it's something small, like The BFG gun that Coulson used on Loki showing up in the TV show. Even if it's something like that, that would be really cool. I was really geeked out when that happened. The Save Me won. May is badass. 2-0 against Ward. That was really satisfying. I was cheering when she shot the nail gun into his foot. That I think it's funny that they've got this kind of that there's all these people on Twitter with doing like the Mayisms hashtag, turning it into something like the Chuck Norris phenomenon. How she's so badass she can do all this stuff. It's similar to what they do with Chuck Norris. I just think that's hilarious. But yeah, May's pretty badass. I think she's closing the gap on Daenerys Targaryen for biggest female badass on TV right now. It's pretty cool. All right. Hey, NJ. Good to see you here. Costeladius, will Coulson reveal himself in Avengers Age of Ultron? I'm curious about that myself. I don't know. I don't really see a... You know, if I think about it, I don't really see a point in Coulson continuing to pretend to be dead. I mean, yeah, his death was used to motivate the Avengers in the movie and spur them into action, but it's already happened. I mean, he was actually dead, so it doesn't really take anything away from that. I don't know why he shouldn't be able to reveal himself to the Avengers. I would like to see Coulson in that movie too. Again, I am expecting some kind of tie-in because with Joss Whedon steering the ship, there's got to be something in there. Andrew Davis. I'm pretty sure the incentive program was having all the people's loved ones locked up. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was a little unclear. Just, I don't know, they made it sound like the incentive program was something good in that opening scene. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what it was. I was a little unclear on that. Matt Stone, Arrow Season 1 is on Netflix for your viewing pleasure. Thank you. I promise I will get to it at some point, guys. I promise. It's bitches. What about John Garrett at the end? How was he still alive? Killed the doctor, was able to get all the centipede parts on, and then just blown up. What the fuck? LOL. That was pretty funny. He was still alive because he still had the blue Kree juice in him. It was a bit of a cop-out, but it just made for such a fucking hilarious moment that I was fine with it. And I love that little callback to I loved it as a little callback to Firefly. That made my day. NJ, don't mention Dexter. Cries, I missed that show. Hey, I love Dexter too, but man, that series finale, dude, that kind of soured me on the whole show. I can't look back on that show and enjoy it anymore because of how it ended. I just can't. The Save Me one. The last time Joss Whedon ended a season by putting a character in a coma, the next season he woke her up just to kill her off in the same episode, so Fitz may not be safe just yet. Yeah. Cordelia. Well, yeah. But the thing is, Cordelia had been a character in the Whedonverse for a number of years at that point. And I'm thinking back to I mean, they pretty much they pretty much developed her and used that character to her fullest potential at that point. Whereas Fitz is still a new character, and there's still a lot of stuff they can do with him, and a lot of facets to him left unexplored still. So there's still a ton of stuff they can do, and a lot of places they can go with that character. So I definitely think he's going to be damaged next season. That just could be part of his development. And I believe at the Comic-Con before last fall, before the show premiered, I think Joss did say that he had no plans currently to kill anyone off in the main cast. Of course, we don't know how far in advance they were planning, but no, I don't think Fitz is going to die. Not from this. We don't know how it's going to play out, but I just think this is going to be used to develop him further. I would expect if he's going to die, it could conceivably be something that results from this, but no, I don't think they're going to kill Fitz off just from the drowning. I think it's going to be something else. I think it'll be something else. If it happens, I think he's safe for the time being. I wouldn't expect any major character deaths in the near future, because we're still just getting to know these characters. I mean, everyone's still pretty new. I wouldn't put it past Whedon to do it, but yeah. I mean, Fitz just dodged a bullet, and he just wouldn't feel right now, I think. And damn well better not kill off Fitz. So without Fitz and Simmons, this show does not work for me. Okay, and that... I think we got about an hour. Okay. And if that's it for comments, we get two more. Hold on. Nope. I misspoke. Oh, here we go. Joe Curtis Rendell. What was the writing on the wall? Once again, sorry if asked already. That was this. I believe that was the same alienese, alien language. I'm assuming it's an alien language. That was the same stuff that Garrett was writing when he was going full on crazy. He was drawing that. We don't know what the hell it meant, but it was the same stuff. So I think it's a sign that the possible mental deterioration that was hinted at earlier in the season is starting to affect Coulson finally. And that's probably going to be a big plot point to season 2, rather. Excuse me. It's a great setup, too. I mean, I would have been disappointed if they hadn't paid that off at some point, because you can't just tease something like that and then not do it. And wouldn't expect Whedon to just leave that alone either. Magpie's Nest Productions. Have you given your thoughts on the Peggy Carter TV show yet? No, I haven't. I don't really have an opinion on that. I think it's an interesting idea as a concept for a show. It just doesn't seem entirely necessary to me. I did like Peggy Carter in the Captain America movie. I didn't really see the need for her to get her own series. You know, if we're going to do a Marvel show on network TV, I mean, there's plenty of other more compelling stories and characters to roll with. And I think part of me thinks like her character was pretty much done. You know, she play the part in Captain America and making Steve Rogers who he is, and then he went into the ice, and at that point, Peggy Carter's pretty much finished off. But they did plant more seeds for that in the sequel. How she played a big part in I guess she was one of the founding members of Shield. So if the show is gonna be more about that and like the early days of Shield and how that organization began, that could be interesting. And it could make some interesting synergy between the two shows. I'm not sure how that could work exactly, and they could do it. Because, supposedly S.H.I.E.L.D. was infiltrated by Hydra in the very early stages of the organization. So that led to the organization falling, which was the big crux of this season. So there are some interesting things they could do with it. Again, I'm still not sure why of all things they excuse me. Still not sure why they decided to go with a Peggy Carter series of all things. It almost kind of feels weird that they would wait so long to do it too. I have not seen the Agent Carter short. I heard it was good. I heard good things about it. I haven't seen it yet. I saw like that one little clip of it, but I guess I should check that out now. I'll give the series a chance. Marvel's got a great track record with this stuff now, so apparently it's going to be paired with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Tuesday nights now, which I think is a good move because pairing S.H.I.E.L.D. with the Goldbergs really did not fit, and so I guess it's going to be Agent Carter at 8 p.m. and S.H.I.E.L.D. at 9 p.m. now, which in my mind is a much better fit. Because I think when S.H.I.E.L.D. was airing it, that one night when S.H.I.E.L.D. was airing at 9, got a ratings jump for that week. And plus, that's a better time slot for them, I think, really. They could probably take a few of the handcuffs off being on a little bit later. So I'll check it out. I'll check out Agent Carter. Be cool to see what they do with that. And okay, if there's anything else. All right. Okay. Guess that's about it. So I guess we'll call it a night for now. Thanks everyone for joining me. Again, I'm considering this a test run for that post-show reaction series I want to do when the show comes back next season. I'm still toying with that idea. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I may do that. I'm also thinking about doing a podcast. There's some stuff I would need to work out for that. I would also need a co-host, I guess. If I got any volunteers for that, let me know. So I will keep you updated on that. I'll also do more live streams in the future. I don't know when yet, but I do think it's good for me to talk about stuff other than wrestling. Just feeling a little burned out on that these days. So that'll be it for now. Thanks everyone for joining me. I'll see you soon. All right, later.